of the people who's making a very bold claim is the Minister of Power, who is now declaring interest to run for governorship in the 2027 elections in Oyo State. Now, Adebayo Adelabu has, of course, been Nigeria's Minister of Power for 2 years. He's been criticized heavily because of the way Nigeria's power system and structure has, in some measure, failed. There are those who have talked about the power grid collapsing and wondering if it is the way the power grid has been collapsing that you want to judge his time in office and how well a minister he has been, and they wonder what he's going to bring to Oyo State. Some others would say, I mean, from the reactions we've seen on social media, others say that Seyi Makinde has left huge shoes for him to fill if he gets there. But there have been a number of announcements of people who will run for office. But let me get your thoughts, gentlemen, on the declaration of intent to run for governorship in the 2027 election by the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu.
First of all, there's nothing wrong in being ambitious. It's good to want to climb the political ladder either ways, whether you're climbing from bottom up or you're climbing from the middle. As it is for him, he's at the middle because he's a minister and he wants to, supersede that and get to state governorship level. However, I find this to be very, in quotes, ridiculous. And I'm going to say it's ridiculous because you are already in a race. And the race simply is to get Nigerians to a state whereby we would enjoy complete power. And Nigerians will get to a state whereby we can clap our hands and say, we have finally achieved a feat where our unborn children and those who are still growing up will stop screaming up NEPA at a certain point. So he has been saddled with a very heavy responsibility that Nigerians and a lot of others are expecting that he would achieve. Whether you like it or not, strides have been made that seem to look, well, not too bad, but okay, despite the fact that many are complaining that the band-aid is too expensive in different areas. But it's now shocking to see that while you are making that stride, I mean, even the Holy Book says you cannot put your hand and then still look back.
You can't serve two masters.
You can't serve two masters. And then you can't be doing something and then still look back at the same time. So this is someone who has been imagined to be the savior of the Nigerian power sector. Now, in other words, he's about to back out, whether we like it or not. You cannot be a minister and give your 100%.
I mean, given the timing that we're almost 2 years away.
So
he's going to be distracted for the next 2 years.
That's what I'm saying. Yes, that's the implication.
So we should expect our power grid, our power progress that we've made so far to just go down. And I wonder what President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is thinking now.
And only just to add to what Joe says, it's not just any portfolio. The backbone of the Nigerian economy is dependent on power. You cannot industrialize on the back of generators. It's a very sensitive portfolio. It's a very important portfolio. If you know you want to throw your hat into the governorship race in Oyo State, I mean, it's no crime. You've done your best, and we'll remember you for the bands and the achievements you achieved while you were Minister of Power.
Yeah.
The honorable thing to do at this point is to resign and face your... You can't... I mean, it's a huge distraction.
So you both have raised
I think he's the first cabinet minister. Others might be nursing governorship ambitions to come out and announce. I mean, I think
you both have mentioned a very key element
Yeah.
that we've struggled with in Nigeria's politics. Is the issue of people often serving in a capacity, but then yearning to serve in another capacity, thereby being distracted. I'm going to swerve a little to another area, our by-elections. Just weeks ago, I think it was just 2 weeks back, when we were reviewing the papers, we're talking about why there were still vacancies in the legislature. And part of the excuse then was that INEC was saying they didn't have money.
Yeah.
And the reason why they didn't have money is because by-elections cost money. And why do we have by-elections? It's not just because there are people who were in these seats, lawmakers that died. It's because there were people who were there who nursed ambition to run for other office. The more we continue to do this, I mean, you're a senator, then you run, Senator Mode Okpewolu, one of them, you then run for office. While you're there, you're distracted, you're not able to represent the people who put you there, then you run for office, you become governor, there is vacancy. Where do you expect the money that they're going to use to run the by-elections to fill your vacancy to come from? So these people are costing Nigerians a lot of money, and they don't think about it in that regard. So the idea, and it's not just with them, we also see with governors who, when they've run their second term, they're already plotting how to get into the National Assembly, because I'd
So
rather
retirement
be,
home.
is their retirement home. I'd rather be in office. I'd rather be in power than just go home and be a nice grandfather to my, children, or,
And be an ordinary Mr.
an ordinary
Mr.
Nigerian.
Johansson.
We
didn't expect that. I'm so sorry, my brother.
It's the clamor for power.
It's sad.
It's the clamor for power. The
It's sad.
idea that they're not able to be just regular Nigerians. So these are areas that I'm hoping that we can look into. As we're talking about updated guidelines for INEC, as we're talking about a lot of reviews that are happening, these are
reforms as
areas
well.
But
that should be
in
considered.
fairness to him, he could say, I'm just declaring, I'm nursing this ambition. It doesn't mean I'm distracted. One of your most famous quotes is, you can chew gum and walk at the same time.
Two things can
No. This is where
he's not just an ordinary person. He's a first-class graduate of the Obafemi Awolowo.
So do you know where the area of two things can coexist
This is where the two things can coexist.
Where it can fly is when you look at, first of all, his track record as the Minister of Power. There are several ministries, and with all due respect to all the ministers, some cabinets and portfolios carry more weight than the other. The backbone of our economy lies on power. And how well have we done with the Ministry of Power? So if you are assessing...
You remember the UCH scandal?
No, there's many things.
But right now,
the
people
banding
say they're
crisis.
enjoying, for me, I've been enjoying...
So Gbenga, let's come back to what... That's why I said, have we made progress? The answer is yes. We must say, Minister, your reforms and your policies, your ideation, your direction towards ensuring that Nigerians enjoy good power supply is, whether you like it or not, mixed reactions, but it's a bit better. It's far better. Let's use that word, far better than where we were. Now, what is expected of someone? Even the saying goes this way: to whom much is given, much is expected. Now, you've proven Nigerians right in some way, at least whether you like it or not. The Minister of Power has won the hearts of some Nigerians, whereby some of us can't remember when last we pulled our generators, because you know that at least in a day you would enjoy nothing less than 18 hours of light.
But wait, what we're saying is this our personal experience or the general...
We can only speak for ourselves. My own personal
But I can tell you what I would like, we can throw it out to our viewers.
Exactly, because I still have people who I see complaining online that, about communities that haven't had power. We have a lot of work that needs to be done, right? A lot. I think what we should first of all check is, let's not use our own experience or the experience of what it's like in certain urban areas. The real test is not whether there's light in the Keja, Lekki, or the real test is when we go to the Ajegunles, the Makokos, and see what the quality of education is there, or the quality of power is there. But let's get reactions from X. There have been people who have shared their thoughts about Governor... See, I'm already calling him governor.
No,
Minister, he's not a governor, please.
Minister.
The Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu's intention to run for office. Someone says, this is why he told you people he needs 6 billion naira to give us light. Wow. Okay.
That billion is dollars, or 6 billion naira these days is not.
It's not really given.
A lot of cash.
No, Oyo State doesn't want a failure. Adelabu's scorecard is a shame to Ibadan, and Oyo State, in the power ministry he heads, he should face the task given to him first and leave leadership race. He's not the only man in Oyo State. Because of Penkele, I might even vote another party than APC. Let's take other ones. He says, when he has job and day money, why wouldn't he have interest? Nah, he will not have it at his ministry. He will not have it. His ministry is the worst in this government. Well,
there you go.
Back to what I'm saying.
there was no positive reaction.
Back to what I'm saying. Whether we like it or not, this puts a clog in the wheel of what he has been doing for the past 2 years plus, because you cannot be given a very heavy responsibility, and while you are holding it with both hands, you decide to drop the ball and look back and say, you know what, I think I want to quickly run for governor. In this entire thing, the context for me is, I want to see what the president will do. There's nothing wrong. It's not because we're expecting the president to feel somehow. Of course, he will feel somehow, whether you like it or not, because ordinarily, Gbenga, when you hand over, even in the workspace, when you hand over a particular task to either a staff or a member of a team, and then all of a sudden the member of the team drops the ball, you start to worry that, okay, that means I have to take my own... Exactly. It's distracting. I have to leave my own job and start supervising and then look for someone else to replace that.
You're assuming the president will feel that. What if the president is happy? Because it also means he's
Olive, nobody.
No, I don't think so.
I think the president will feel that way.
Because look at the timing. It's just past the 2-year mark.
You
have two more years.
When ADC is out again, In short, for me, this is going to be a minus in the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration, where people would use it as a yardstick to say, look, we told you these guys don't care about you. Look at this one who has a job to do for you, Nigerians. He's leaving it now to chase. And again, I want to ask, what is there in that government house that you are chasing when you have a place where you can put your name amongst names that people will forever remember, which is, this is the man who solved Nigeria's power crisis.
He's tried again. I mean, there's no harm in trying. He tried to be governor last time. Sheikh Makinde defeated him. And let's not forget the famous former president of Nigeria, His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari. He tried 4 times before it was 4th time lucky. This just...
4th time a charm.
4th time a charm, exactly. So Mr. Adelabu can try his luck, but he should try, not at the expense of his job and at the detriment of Nigerians.
If it were in Sena Climes now, we would expect a press conference where he would possibly come out with the president saying, I hereby would like to announce that I'm going to be leaving my... as I look forward to focus on...
Let's go to Kenya here. When William Ruto was the deputy president in Kenya, he was running for office. That was when he announced his intention and was doing hustler up and around Kenya. So he was deputy president, and that was part of the criticism. Some people saying, how is he able to focus on you know,
as a vice president?
Yes, he was deputy then.
Atiku Abubakar, as a vice president under Obasanjo's time, also signaled interest.
So that's why I'm saying that, to be honest, we can criticize it all we want to, but it is practice.
But that's presidency. That's presidency level. We've seen it play out in presidency level where
anointing flows from top to the bottom.
But in terms of minister, this is minister. You have
just passed the 2nd year of the government.
Exactly. And the thing about, if we're to look at this categorically, the thing about the vice presidency and vice president role is that any vice president, I stand to be corrected, while in power, especially when the tenure is about to wrap up or end, can quickly signal his interest to say, I want to take over from my Oga, I want to be president, and then he starts the process.
Obama, Biden.
But you are not president, you are not vice president, you are a minister saddled with a heavy responsibility. The question I want to ask now is for all of us to think about, if he decides to start plotting his next move to become governor of Oyo State, and we start seeing his flyers all over the streets in Oyo, what would they put in that flyer?
Again, what I'm saying is this is not the first time. I don't think that we can say,
if all the ministers did it,
let's say all the ministers.
I'm not saying it's right. Bear in mind that I criticize this area. I'm not saying that it's right. I'm just saying that unfortunately, it is the practice. We see it happen all the time. I mentioned
at the presidency level.
Let's come back to even, governorship level too. Let's even come back to Nigeria. Philip Shaibu did it when he was deputy governor of Edo State.
That was towards the end of his... that's what all of you... I said presidency, and then you can say governor, okay? That's fine. But these are ministers. Ministers are like... How do we put it?
Ministers of the Lord.
They're basically like, okay, let's... you have a head of the department. You have the CEO. The CEO's level, they can say, okay, fine, someone is fine for the CEO, the one who is next to him. But these are heads of departments, and you have a task.
You have responsibility.
You're now about to abandon the department where you have people who are under you and say, listen, I want to vie for that. And you, while still in...
Yes, without resigning. I agree with Joe. I don't know.
It looks somehow.
It will happen. It's a normal thing here.
But my advice to the minister, it is fine to be ambitious, but just tender the resignation.
Do you think that at the point when they're being nominated by the president to be a part of the president's cabinet, that they should add that one of the questions, that within the duration of your time in office, do you intend to run for office? Do you think that should be a criteria?
They should, so they will know who will focus on their job
so that we know
and
who
give 100%.
Future ambition, and then if you're going to have
leave space for you, or we can shuffle the cabinet halfway.
When you're done,
that.
You can come back. So again,
I think you just gave the presidency expo
an idea. The one that we've given them since about sort of allocating portfolios before this.
That one is a problem.
I have talked about that thing 1,001 times. If you know that you're screening Adelabo and he's coming for, in a lot of the screenings, they don't know what portfolio they're being screened for. They're just being screened. What if he doesn't have the capacity to be Minister of Power? What if he has his strength Just like somebody now
but sometimes
making me
it's not always
what
like
power
that. I mean, look
like,
at your legal colleague, for example, Mr. Akiyama.
Yes, he's done
Minister
great.
of Aerospace and Aviation.
So the good thing about letting them go ahead of time.
In aviation, but the aerospace aspect is
well, wait first. You know why I say that it's important to let them know ahead of time? Because if they, for example, tell me they want to make me Minister of Power and I'm going for screening, I can sit down and think and be honest with myself and say, you know what, I may not be able to function well in this capacity. This is a capacity I think I can function better in. But anyway, let's move away from there to somewhere very interesting update. Traditional leaders have invoked curses on crime perpetrators. So if you are a criminal in Delta State, just know that Amadioha is coming for you. But let's take a look at this video.
War against kidnappers, yes, cultists and sponsors of cultism, yeah, and drug peddlers. Drug peddlers, not victims. All over Asaba, Asaba is littered with these drug outlets. And we've tried our best, we've worked, to use force and all that. But they seem to be working with some forces or whatever. But this time around, we want to lay curses on those drug peddlers.
So we want to go spiritual now against them. So the natives have decided to consult the gods to help them. And everybody know the consequence of the gods intervening.
I'm so glad this is breakfast. I mean, if I had to do tonight and I watch that, I will have trouble sleeping at night because of some of the footage of things that are looking fetishism.
So first of all, from what I saw there, I don't know, I saw a banner that showed Ibankwesi, which is a cultural celebration there. So I don't know if that's what exactly was happening, but let's move away from Ibankwesi and talk about what the video is. And I'm a Christian, and I'm public about my faith. However, I don't criticize them if that's what they believe in, and they believe that they're going to call on their gods to deal with whoever is to deal with, whoever needs to be dealt with, and their God can respond to them. They can by all means go ahead.
Can I ask you a question? As a Deltan, do you think these curses work? And how many gods do you have in Delta State?
I don't know, because I only know of one God.
Okay.
The only God that I serve is the only one that I know of. So I don't know about the others. And even in my faith, I remember they were calling on other gods. They were calling on Baal. And Baal had gone, Baal had not really answered them. So I don't know if this is Baal or whatever. So I don't know. However, I think that people are allowed to express themselves in whatever way they deem fit. There's a level of frustration that you'll be pushed to for you to now get to the point to say that you want to start cursing criminals.
What happened to Nigeria Police Force?
So that's what I want to highlight.
Evade the whole organization responsible for
that's what I'm driving at. That there's a level of frustration you will get to that will make you now say you want to start laying curses on criminals when there is a law enforcement system. It shows a number of things. Some measure of failure on the law enforcement, or a lack of trust on the part of the people that the law enforcement will be able to ensure that they guarantee the safety, security, and delivering of justice to the people who have, who are the criminals, meting out justice to them. So the people don't trust law enforcement. That's what it's
and I mean, it's a sad reflection of the trust deficit in law enforcement. Like, they totally just ignored. He didn't call on the police to arrest perpetrators of crime. Just bypassed the police and went straight to Amadioha. So, I mean, it is what it is.
I'm just trying to imagine. While you guys were talking, I mean, they said they decided to call the gods and they are cursing. We're going to wait. We're going to talk to our reporter, a man on ground. We have to return back to this story. We'll give it 3 months. Yes, 3 months. I want us to go back and see if truly crime and drug peddlers, if they've reduced, if they've come down to the barest minimum. But like Oliver said, this shows the failure of 4 systems. The failure of government, the failure of police. It also shows the failure of religion and the failure of community or societies. Because if each community, which is made up of parents, and parents have their children, if they are able to raise their children right, it would mean that the community will be safer for children to live in. In terms of police, if the police do their due diligence, their job, maybe they'll be able to come and see how they can help the society. But even in Lagos here, you walk past some areas, you see where boys are busy, blowing.
And you're wondering, law enforcement,
strolling. Some of
them that are rigging of
some of them also, we are not going to mince words here. it's proven already. There's nothing to say. We don't need to add alleged. We see the videos online where they are also busy taking some of these things and they have a gun by their side. So the image, in short, the Nigerian, the agency in charge of our image, what's it called?
National Orientation.
I was driving this morning and the same thing I said in the car, I said the National Orientation Agency has a lot of work to do.
They're doing their best, but they still have a lot to do.
It's too much on them. So these 4 agencies, or you say forces of change that we have in Nigeria, whether in Delta State, anywhere, I think it goes to show that they've really fallen below par.
And just to give a bit of background information, why you will see them be desperate to say that they want to start laying curses is there is actually a cultism problem. And when here in Lagos, before now, I would think that cultism started at university level, but there in secondary schools, you know, and even in the quarters, you will hear of clashes between, in Umuagu, they are fighting, Umuagu quarters, you see some of, and I have experienced it, you know, 1 or 2 situations. I remember one night I was going somewhere with my cousin, and they threw like bottles at us in the night. So somebody is either a member of a cult or knows someone that knows someone that is a member of a cult.
Of society.
So there's an issue with cultism there. And as well, people are very strong and passionate about their tradition. There are certain things like they have very strong cultures. For example, if you go to the market, there are certain things here in Lagos you can buy ogbono. You can't buy ogbono in Asaba market. You know, yes. So they are very. It's not allowed. It's against the culture.
Cultural thing.
Yeah, it's a cultural thing. Like a true Asaba person cannot buy and eat ogbono. If you go to the market, even the way that you carry your bag.
How do you eat it?
You don't eat it because it's assumed that I've forgotten what the story is behind it, but there is a story behind it. Even when you go to the market to shop, you know the way people carry 2 bags in their hand or 1 on their head. I know there's a way you can't carry bags. There's still egugu, masquerades still come out, and women can't see these masquerades. So they hold very fast to their culture and tradition.
Interesting.
So maybe they've seen that, you know what, the law is not really favoring us in this regard. We might as well invoke culture and tradition.
I like what you've thrown to our correspondent in Delta State, Austin, to give us 3 months. But I wonder, as also a journalist, if you have the mind and the temerity to put a microphone on an SNY.
When I decided to become a broadcast journalist, one of the persons who gave me a shot then would always tell me, go in and do your job. You are a neutral person, go in and do your job. And although I didn't go to some places, then you are. You're
a broadcaster and investigative journalist. They're 2 different things.
So you cannot face the gods one-on-one.
It depends if they want to face me.
Okay.
I do.
Let's just leave it there.
Why I'm saying that because the one with me
is greater. Wow. Anyway, we just hope that there is some measure of sanity that is being brought back. Asaba will always hold a special place in my heart. Asaba will always be home. Asaba is home to me. So when I hear stories like this, it makes me sad, which is why we use our voices to amplify the struggles that have been had there. I can't wrap up the conversation without talking about Sylvester Oromoni, the young boy who unfortunately passed in November 2021. Unfortunately, there were conflicting reports. The parents and his family alleged that there was some measure of foul play, that he was being bullied and that he was forced to drink chemical substances which led to his death. And the school authorities had claimed that he sustained injuries while playing football. But his family said that no, he was tortured by school bullies. And for years this matter dragged. They refused to bury Sylvester for 2 years because they were hoping to get justice. He told his father, however, the young boy Sylvester Oromoni told his father that he was not playing football, that he did not even go to the field. According to him, he was in his room with his classmates, sleeping on his bed in the evening. The 12-year-old student succumbed to wounds allegedly suffered from a violent beat-up by school bullies on Wednesday, November 28, triggering massive outcry and condemnation in the country. The school was sealed off by the Lagos state government after the incident in December 2021, but later reopened a month after in January 2022. And if you're asking which school, of course it is Dowen College in Lekki. Now, unfortunately, as you would see, grief has an interesting way of just hitting families. Sylvester's mother never got over this death, and now his mother has passed. She passed also in November 2024, exactly 3 years after Sylvester died. Evangelist Mrs. Rosemary Sylvester Oromoni, she died at the age of 57 years and she'll be buried on the 7th of August, 2025. Her funeral service will be on Saturday, 9th of August, and the night of tribute will be on the 7th of August at the family compound in Warri. This again has made social media users angry because they believe that justice wasn't given to this woman and her family. And if you go to the page of Dowen College on Instagram, again, social media users have gone on their pages, starting to lay curses on them, starting to abuse them and praying against them. They've even accused parents who've allowed the children to still remain in the school as being accomplices and a part of this. Again, this just makes me sad because it reveals to us that, or reminds us that there's some level of nonchalance that schools have attributed to, or that can be attributed to schools when it comes to how they take care of our children. This is not the only case. There's the case of Wilfred, who was, they went to the inter-house sport game and she was electrocuted. So there are a number of stories, and the question is, at what point will we be able to start holding schools accountable, that they realize that the moment a parent drops their child with you, you owe them a duty of care to return the child back to the parents in the exact way you collected that child, not returning them with marks on their body, not returning them in a body bag, returning them in the exact way that you got them.
My grouse is with the authorities, very quick to seal, then after the noises gone down, they reopen, and we never hear about an inquiry.
Well, they did a coroner's inquiry, and they're saying that the inquiry, the coroner's inquiry, revealed that, I mean, the claim by the parents that he was being, that's not true. But the parents strongly believe, the family believed, because they say that was what, and there was a time, a voice note in that year, there was a voice note that was going around of a student, allegedly from the school, narrating what had happened, saying that he had been beaten.
It's quite unfortunate.
And then the conversation about cultism in secondary schools came back again. Bullying in secondary schools came back again. I don't know what to say in this case. The typical thing we often say is, may her soul rest in peace, may his soul rest in peace. But then again, Nigerians have started to say that if there were persons directly or indirectly linked to the cover-up, to the carrying out of Sylvester Oromoni's death, as well as the cover-up, that justice in whatever form get to them. Because what has happened here is not just Sylvester has been killed, his mother has been killed. She never got over that heartbreak.
Very sad.
It's sad. Nobody would be able to understand the love and the bonds that a mother has with her child. The same way no human is able to understand how the bond can grow, even from animals. Some animals, when they bond with their babies, it's indescribable. You cannot. And her going through that pain, you just don't want to think about it.
They say little coffins are the heaviest coffins to carry. A parent's worst nightmare is to have their child die. Nobody wants to ever, you both are parents. Every parent, every sensible, right-thinking parent would give their life for their child in a heartbeat without thinking about it.
Absolutely.
So it's the most heartbreaking thing for any parent to have to live through the death of their child. And now I also feel for Sylvester's father, who's not just lost his son, but he's also lost his wife. It is grief upon grief. I do not know how they're going to get through this. It's just really a sad situation.
Very.
Very sad, very, very sad indeed. But then again, like Oliver said, our hearts go out to the family, our condolences as well. And we do hope that the father would be able to bear the loss. And we also will continue to look out for stories that would come, especially stories like this. If there's a way we could put an end to it, we'll definitely do that. But then again, it's what they say.
Do you expect that the school should do anything in this regard?
It's life. I mean, there's nothing.
I mean, seeing as they're saying the law hasn't vindicated them.
Exactly.
Sorry, the law has vindicated them, but do you think that there's any action that they can carry out to express goodwill?
I mean, it's just to ensure they end the culture of bullying in the school, that's all.
Even though they would argue that there isn't any bullying.
It's sad. But anyway, let's move on. Let's bring to you what our top stories are today here on Breakfast Central as we're about to kick into the action full swing.